Hey kids. Hey kids. Sorry about missing you yesterday. Boy, was that a discouraging venture. But had to do some family stuff, and so I did. And I'm glad to be here today with you. And look forward to talking to you on the Inga Barks Show. I hate saying that I'm talking to you because I wish I were saying I'm talking with you. But it is what it is. Today, for your viewing pleasure, my horrible hair. People have to be... Inga, have you just given up on everything? Have you just given up on your looks? Yes. Because it's 125 degrees outside, right? I mean, I don't want to... If men could put their hair up in a ponytail, they would, I guarantee you.
Some do.
That's true. The man bun has got to end. It's got to end. As soon as I get home every day, you know the first thing I do when I get home? Put my hair up, take off all my jewelry. I think a lot of women are that way. And so, anyway, but I've got, I'm wearing some gold today, none of it real. And for your drinking pleasure, I have a Gatorade Frost Cool, which I cannot currently open. So I'm going to hand it to Goose to do the job. On my way here today, yeah, I can't open those things. Thank you. On my way here today, I took surface streets. I love taking surface streets. And there I was at the, thank you much, there I was at the intersection of, well, where the freeway off-ramp meets Oak. Do you know what I'm talking about? You get to Oak and like Stockdale, that intersection right there? Okay. And I'm heading north. And on one corner, there were homeless people working very diligently to build their cardboard castle. On another corner, on the north side, there was a shopping cart full of stuff and a suitcase, which I thought was clever, with people in a shopping cart. And on the, what do you call it, the island? Can we call it the island, that thing in the middle?
That's what they call it.
That's what they call it? Was a young man with a sign selling sodas, waters, and Gatorades. No, I did not buy this Gatorade from him. Why would he think I would? And his sign said ice cold. Why on earth would he think I would buy a beverage from him? But I felt bad. I felt bad because you've got these people who are trying to make a go of it. I guess this one guy was trying to make a go of it, selling beverages in the middle of... But who would buy from him? I mean, I mean no offense at all, but how do I know? How do I know where that drink has been? You know what I'm saying? That's just me. So I go north on Oak Street, and I hit another shopping cart. And a person sitting in the shade next to their very full shopping cart. And I got to thinking about how illegal that is. It's against the law. I saw probably 4 jaywalkers today. It's against the law. I saw a person today driving in Bakersfield, California, who could not pick a lane. You know those people who are either high, very high, or very drunk. Could not pick a lane. And we don't have enough police to handle all of this stuff, but we have laws. We have laws that say you don't get to do this. And I think where my frustration comes is in the fact, and I've said this before, that of course, police are going to pull over a very rich person in a red Corvette because they've got money to pay the fine, but they also have money to pay the lawyer. They're not going to pull over the guy who has clearly stolen a shopping cart. This is theft. They're going to pull me over. I'm the one. I'm the one who's going to get pulled over. I'm the one who's going to pay the penalties. And it continues to be a frustration for me, so I just thought I'd get that off my chest. Do you remember back in the 80s, I think it was, in Kern County anyway, it became illegal to have milk cartons. You know those crates? Those plastic crates?
The milk crates.
Yeah, that we all put on the back of our scooter or motorcycle. I had one on the back of my scooter.
I love those.
I do too. But it became illegal to have them because they were stolen from the dairy.
Well, I bought mine.
The last one I bought as well. But it was still, I shouldn't have had it. And so they had this whole thing. They were going to come after you for your milk cartons or milk crates. And where were they? Who's got the milk crates? Me, you, Merle Haggard fans. So anyway, I just am today. I'm not trying to come to you frustrated, but I am frustrated. And by the way, very hot. Is it hot in here or is it me?
It is a wee warm in here.
It is. Is it not?
It's a wee warm in here, Lassie.
It's a wee warm.
I have a funny story about people. You were talking about someone that was like, couldn't pick a lane.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, it was terrible.
I was driving up in Northern California, and I was going down 280 in the morning, and this guy was like, he could between two roads, and I'm like, what in the world's wrong with this guy? So I drive by him. He's reading the newspaper.
Of course. Well, good for him. An informed citizen. That is a good thing. No, I just think those are the people you want to either get way, way behind or get past really fast as you can, right? And this guy today, I don't know what his issue was, but you think so? You think he was token?
Yeah, I do. Probably in his car.
I've never toked and driven, so I cannot speak for that population. So anyway, if you guys will bear with me today with a little bit of silly, it seems like a small issue, but it's not. The person I'm about to, whose words I'm about to read, are those of someone who I don't know her political philosophy. I don't know her. I have nothing against her. I'm sure she's a terrific person, and she means well. But I think it's a great opportunity to dissect the mind of a liberal, or at least dissect liberal thinking. And when I read this, it's going to be about buses. Do you take buses? Have you ever taken the bus?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Public transit, I think I support public transit for the purpose of getting people who don't have cars to work and back and college and back and all of that, right? But I don't think it's something that I'm interested in spending more money on or being told I have to take. But there was a bill passed, shortly after Governor Schwarzenegger signed AB 32, the environmental law. There was a Senate bill that came along, and I always forget the number, 375, something like that. And the purpose of it was to figure out how to get people out of their houses, out of the suburbs and into downtowns, because downtowns are so sexy, and out of their cars and into public transit. And the means to do this was not convincing people that it was a fantastic thing to do. The means to do it was to tell people that they had to do it by law, by just choking them until they have to. Now, some of you, Goose has taken the bus. I took the bus last. I was in high school. I've taken the bus twice, high school, and when I was working with what they called at the time TMRs. I don't think they use that term anymore, but back then it meant teachable mentally retarded. But that R word is not acceptable, so I don't know what they use anymore. But I was working with them, and we were teaching them how to get to and fro on a public transit. Otherwise, it was in high school, and other than that, I hitched a ride with friends, or I walked. Until I got a car, or a car to drive. So I'm not a big public transit supporter in terms of my nickels and dimes. But this person today wrote a, what do they call it, community forum piece, an editorial for the local paper. And I don't want you to think of this in terms of the bus that you see oftentimes at an intersection with nobody on it. But if you go to the Social Security office on any given day, there's 2 buses full of people that'll park and unload. But anyway, this isn't really about public transit. It's really about the mind of a person who believes that government is always the answer. So here's the editorial. It's very short. And this is written by... Her name is Sarah Harriger. I'm sure she's a lovely, well-meaning person. The last time I rode the Get Bus regularly was in high school. Oh, you grew up in Northern California. You probably took public transit all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And why did you take public transit all the time?
Because I didn't have a car.
And why don't people have cars up there in NorCal?
Well, I can tell you in San Francisco, there's no place to park.
Thank you very much. The last time I rode the Get Bus regularly was in high school. I would ride from downtown to East Hills Mall. Oh, East Hills Mall was great when it was great. I recently rediscovered public transportation in Bakersfield. I will be the first person to admit that I am guilty of utilizing public transportation when I visit larger cities like San Francisco and Portland. And in my case, Hawaii, and I call it Hawaii, but we did do the bus in Hawaii the last time I was there. I didn't realize how much I enjoy the ride. Did you enjoy the ride?
Depends on who was on the ride with me. Honest to God, there was more entertainment on a bus, watching other people.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's see. Public transportation is an integral part of our community. Now, I'm not a linguist, but integral means to me really necessary, really embedded, really important. Integral. We couldn't get along without it. And again, I support public transit for people who don't have vehicles, which might be me any day now. Integral part of our community, the Golden Empire Transit Get Bus District provides millions of rides in a year, and nearly 18,000 rides in a day. Is that people who actually ride it, or the bus is actually just moving? That's what I want to know. But, okay. According to the Transportation Performance Index, public transportation can propel economic growth by providing mobility options that continue to employment, health, and economic stability. The Get Bus also gives back to the community by partnering with the city and Caltrans to improve local bus stops and sidewalks. All right, so step number one in recognizing the insanity of liberal thinking. I pay taxes for a bus I don't use so that bus can partner with public transit that I do use to create bus stops that I don't use and improve local sidewalks, which I don't walk on. I'm just saying, this is the mind of a liberal. Unfortunately, Get Bus ridership has decreased in the last few years, and funding from the state is dependent on ridership. Okay, let me go back to an earlier quote from this person. Public transit is an integral part of our community. And in the next paragraph, Get Bus ridership has decreased in the last few years. So people have stopped using the bus as much because they have other alternate, Lyft or what's the other one called? What do they call people use? Uber. Or they walk, or they get a car. They have a job and they get a car. So they can drive themselves. And yet, public transportation is integral. It is so important to our community that people have stopped using it. This is the mind of a liberal. And she means well. I honestly, I'm not attacking this person. I'm attacking her thinking, and I'm hoping that we all see this at every level. City, school board, city, county, state, federal. That people who favor government will tell you how very important something is, to the degree that they will push for laws that force you into using what they say is very important. I don't know about you, but I really did hide the peas under the mashed potatoes. Were you one of those kids? I was one of those kids, and I love peas and mashed potatoes. But I would sit there I was the kid who sat there for an hour while my mother said, "You will eat that, or you will not leave the table." What's that? What did you do?
I mixed mine together and ate them.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you eat in clockwise or any certain order?
No.
I've always been one who's eaten one thing at a time.
No,
I've learned though to mash them.
I eat a little bit of this, and then I go to the next thing, eat a little bit of that, and then I go to the next thing, eat a little bit, and then I go around in a circle and just.
I've learned that over time, but as a child, I really was that kid who sat there, and at the table and was not allowed to be dismissed until I ate the whole thing. That is liberal think. They're doing well. They mean well. Unfortunately, guest bus ridership has decreased in the last few years, and funding is dependent on ridership. Get has to prove that 20% of the funding through fare prices and 80% of funds are provided by the state. So, okay. So not enough people are riding the bus to make the state match the funds. Again, I support public transport, especially for people who don't have a car or don't have a job and they're working their buns off. The problem is ridership is down. Why is ridership down? Because you got a car. Because you got a job that bought a car. Ridership is down because you got a friend who will drive you to your work. Ridership is down because Lyft and Uber have become a less expensive means of getting someplace, or even if they're more expensive, they get you there on time. And this person, again, folks, I know it's just the Get Bus, but I'm talking about the liberal mind, and I hope you're working with me on this. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll finish up with this. We'll talk about other issues of the day, including the Supreme Court and California, Bakersfield, Kern County. We'll be right back. I'm Inga.
At the time you were arrested, you were served with a DS-367 temporary driver's license. It's good for 30 days, but if you don't act within 10 days, at the end of those 30 days, your license will be suspended. It's important for your lawyer to contact the DMV for you. Set up a driver's license administrative hearing so that your license is not going to suspension. That's something here at Braemar Law we do for you.
Patriot Bail Bonds has the best customer service in Bakersfield. Patriot has more 5-star ratings than any bail company in Kern County. Plus, we're fast and affordable. If you run into the law, make Patriot Bail Bonds your first call. That's right, one call, that's all.
If you're in jail, call Patriot Bail.
Your home is perfect. Until it's not. We understand that life has its changes. As your family grows, we're here to help grow with you. Because taking care of your family is important to you and important to us. Your story starts here with Cornerstone Mortgage.
And you wouldn't believe what happened after that.
After that, that's an amazing story so far.
So far.
Can't wait to hear the rest. Holy cow, welcome back. I'm Inga. Goose is on the other side. Goose has a master's degree.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I'm pretty jealous of that. But my son is about to have a master's degree, and I don't think any of you are all going to be any richer than I am at the end. Seriously. Remember when they said a college degree was the same as a high school diploma after a while? And what is a master's now? The same as a college? College? 4-year?
I'm not sure. All I know is when I was investigating this, they were saying that, first of all, I was told you get a high school diploma and you get a job. That's what I did.
Yeah, right.
And I was making minimum wage for years. And then I went and got an associate's degree. Taking the bus, got an associate's degree, made a little bit more money.
I never got the AA. I never did that.
And then on a thing I just I'm going to go get I noticed that if you get a bachelor's, you make some more money. And so I did that. And then I was told if you get a master's, you might be able to teach college. And I thought,
yes,
well,
you can.
And I thought, at
Communications.
the very least, I can become a college professor because,
or an adjunct, or a assistant, or.
And the crazy part is the fact that my whole thing about teaching college was that I don't want to teach, but I figured if I was going to teach, I would want to teach people that would want to be there.
Yeah.
And that was college.
Well, this is why I'm a fan of college. The only reason, and this is what I tell young people. In all of your life, your entire life growing up, you've been told what you're going to wear, when you're going to go, what time you're going to get off, what classes you're going to take. And then suddenly you become a consumer, and you decide what you're going to take and when you're going to take it. Now, I took 10 years to graduate. And it was because I got married, I had children, I had a full-time job, all of these things came into play. But because I was a consumer, I could pick and choose. Yeah. So I love that.
And I tell people this was my third round of going to college.
Wow.
I tried it when I first got out of high school. Did it for 4 years at the JCs and realized it wasn't for me because I got in a lot of debt.
Yeah.
And then lost my job and thought, well, let me go back to school and learn and get some. So a year after that, we moved to Bakersfield. So I was like, okay, well, I need to go back to work. And then I was out of work again. And God kept pushing me to go back to school and said, this is what you need to do. And
right on.
And despite the fact that there were some people who told me, you don't want to do that film and television thing.
No, you don't. What are you, crazy?
No, you're going to...
It's like my degree. My degree's in psychology. What do you do with that? It's something you're good at anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I got the degree because I realized that no one was going to take me seriously at my age. At my age, no one was going to take me seriously until I had that piece of paper and said, look what I did.
I had to go out to Cal State last week and pay, I think it was $25, $27, to get a copy of my diploma because I don't even know where my diploma is. I was just so glad. I didn't walk the stage. I was just so glad to be done. I wanted to be out of there. And by then I was 28. And I thought, well, walking the stage is for 20-year-olds. It's not for me. It's for people who did it the right way. 23-year-olds or something. So, but I can't, I'm waiting in the mail for a copy of my diploma, which I've only seen once before I shoved it someplace that I can't find it. I probably pressed flowers in the book, I have no idea where it is. Do you have yours out?
I have it framed.
You have it framed, too.
Only because I want people to see it and look at me going, you actually got a master's degree?
Yeah. Well, that's because a master's degree means you're really smart. And then people look at you and go, no, it doesn't take that much to get a master's. No.
I actually graduated with it.
I'm kidding. Folks, I'm kidding. I'm giving him a hard time.
Because it's funny because I remember having all those teachers in elementary school that says, he's so smart, he just doesn't apply himself.
Oh, gosh, how long have we heard that? Surveys have been conducted over the years, and GAT Bus is rolling with the times to provide the most up-to-date transportation. By the way, on my surface streets today, I probably passed 5 GET buses that had nobody on them. They're moving to micro-transit. This is a new policy, Goose. This is where they will actually come to your house now.
Is this the service for the elderly and the disabled?
I hope so, because if it's for everybody, it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long day. So I love this. So this woman says, and bless her heart, and I don't mean that sarcastically. So this woman says, public transit is a very integral, very important part of our lives. And then she says, but ridership is down. And then she says this, so maybe taking a traditional bus is not your cup of tea. In the next year, they hope to launch their new program. And hopes are that it will be somewhere between $3 and $4 per ride, which is subsidized by the rest of your neighbors and friends. Of course, as with anything in life, she says, the GET bus is not perfect. Sometimes there may be delays. Now, okay, back to being a consumer. The sweetest guy in the world, who I love, who dumped me. We went one time to Burlington Coat Factory. Have you ever been there, Burlington Coat Factory?
Briefly.
His daughter was doing an internship with a congressman and in D.C., and we wanted to get her a fog, what do you call them, the fog coats, they have 4 buttons, they double breast, I don't know what they're called.
The trench coat?
No, well, we just wanted to get her some clothes that she could wear in Washington, D.C. Okay. And we went to Burlington Coat Factory, and the line was so incredibly long that we both agreed it was worth it to spend more money to go to a boutique and have somebody just bring us what we wanted and wrap it and sell it to us. But okay. In the next year, let's see. Of course, with anything in life, the Get Bus is not perfect. Sometimes there might be a delay. When you're a consumer, there doesn't have to... Okay, all right. The weather might not cooperate, and you might have to sit next to someone you don't know. And this is where I go to my friend Molly, who knows very well what I know, and I've shared this story with you before, that a man once got on a public transit in Chicago for no reason whatsoever that we know of. He had a sock full of poo-poo in it, and he beat a lady about her head and neck with the sock full of poo-poo. All right, and you don't have to say, but all of these things only enhance the experience. Goose, when you took the bus, were strangers that you were sitting next to, did they enhance your experience?
I'm taking a long pause here.
Dear Penthouse, I never thought this would happen to me.
I was going to say, I was going to do a Bill Clinton and say, depends on what you mean by enhance.
Yeah, very good. Very nicely done. Nicely done. Of course, as with anything in life, the Get Bus is not perfect. Sometimes there will be delays. The weather will not cooperate. In other words, by the time you get to work, your hair is gone, and you might have to sit next to somebody. But these things only enhance the experience. Immerse yourself in your community. And support local public transportation. Meet someone new. Read a book or turn on that podcast. Currentcast.com, by the way, and Facebook. Turn on that podcast you've been hankering to listen to. Yes, in this hot weather, it is not ideal to walk to your local stop, but the bus is cool, the company is good, and your step tracker will applaud you. Get on board Bakersfield and enjoy the ride. That's the commentary written by this gal. So ridership is down because people don't need or want it, but it's integral to our community. See, this is the liberal mind. Is this not the liberal mind? And I mean nothing against this woman. I don't know her. She looks lovely. I'm sure she means well. But seriously, if she didn't have to take the bus, would she take the bus? Is she honestly doing this to make the community a better place? This is liberal think. And if you don't believe that the government offered opportunity, whether it be health care or the bus or Obama phones, if you don't believe that these are fantastic integral parts of our community, then we will force you to by law. And that's ultimately my point, and that's why I spent so much time on this. I hope I didn't bore you too much, but I just think it's fantastic that somebody admits that the free market doesn't want it, but you should do it. Now, I think that's true about a heck of a lot of things in our lives. The free market doesn't want it, but you should do it anyway. That's all I got to say about that. What?
No, you just remind me that liberals would probably be the same people that would put dinosaurs in the endangered species and be trying to get everybody to ride buggies. Because it's an industry, we need to keep it up.
Be eaten by a T-Rex. It needs to live. Be a team player. I'm all for being a team player. I just am not. I just want to be me. And the problem is government grows and grows and grows. The last time it shrunk was last week or the week before, when the Supreme Court ruled that unions, that public employee unions, could not force dues out of you. And that was the last time, and a great time, that I think the public sector or the private sector won. But generally speaking, there's all these things you don't want, and you're told you're going to love it. And if you don't love it, you're told you have to have it. And if you don't feel you have to have it, healthcare is a great example. And if you don't think you have to have it, they will punish you with a tax so that you will be forced to buy it. Government grows, we shrink. Government grows, private sector shrinks. And these are the things, these are the reasons why. What do we have before the break? What do we have before the break?
What do you mean?
You said you did this a minute ago.
But we got 1 minute.
This is break, and he usually does this or this or. This is why. What are you, landing a plane? What's your vector, Victor?
I saw that movie yesterday.
Was it on yesterday?
And we recorded it. It was on over the weekend. And we recorded it.
One of the greatest movies in movie history, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, Airplane. Anyway, this is why you are, this is why, well, okay. Anyway, I'm done. I'm done fussing. I just wanted to look into the sincere, you know, your elected officials, they're not sincere. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing when they're telling you have to do something or they're going to tax you. They know what they're doing when they say you need this even if you don't need it or want it or wish for it. But people like this gal who wrote this piece, local Bakersfield, she means it. She actually believes that that ridership is down with the government entity, but it should be up, and you should take it upon yourself to volunteer to use the government entity. And if you don't, well, there will be punishments. Well, there already are. There already are. They're called smog tests. They're called registration. All right, we'll take a break and we'll be right back. I'm Inga. I'm going to apply some lipstick, have some Gatorade, and talk to you on the other side. We'll be right back.
Introducing the new California State Penitentiary Bologna Sandwich. Jail food sucks. Don't let your family eat jail food.
Live and direct from the Golden State. It's intelligent talk media. The Denise Gary Show.
Denise here from the Denise Gary Show. Having worked with top secret clearances, providing information and analysis to agencies and departments such as the CIA, the DOD, the State Department, and the United States military, I look forward to bringing my professional and academic expertise to you, calling us all to take action on the most critical issues of our time, locally, statewide, nationally, and internationally, as we learn how what happens overseas impacts all of us here at home. Together, we'll connect the dots.
Thank you for listening to The Denise Gary Show. Intelligent talk media.
Welcome back. Glad to be here. Thank you for being with me. Somebody said, watch my drinking.
Yeah.
Well, you're actually right, because there's a G2, and the G2 is lower calorie. At your regular Quickie Mart, you can't really find those. But anyway, so I just had to grab but I'll dilute it throughout the day. You'll see me drinking this tomorrow, this same Gatorade. All right, welcome back. So I gave you a peek into the mind, the absolutely sincere mind of a liberal who might not even know they're liberal when they're telling you that because a government entity isn't used very much, you need to use it. And even though you'll be, what was it she said, sitting next to strangers, and maybe even scared for your life, you'll be richer for your personality will be enhanced. You'll be, what? What?
Like I said, I can tell you some really strange and bizarre stories from taking public transportation.
I think it's awesome.
Oh, yeah, I love getting threatened.
Oh, I love staring at people.
Yeah, I've had people actually, I had a guy actually threaten me. I'm going to kick your...
Tush?
Oh, yeah.
Bootay?
Yeah, but he wasn't all right in the head either.
Right,
so.
right. I have a girlfriend, one of my dearest and oldest, actually since kindergarten, girlfriend who is a federal judge. And she's the only federal judge in Kern County. And I love her to death, very proud of her. And one time I was at Sambo's in Santa Barbara. Now you're paying a good $300 to stay in a hotel close to the water in Santa Barbara. Okay? And that's where I am. I wasn't paying it, trust me. And so we go to Sambo's and we're sitting there, and this guy walks past. He's a homeless guy because we have to encourage homelessness. And he's a homeless guy, and he's going down the street, and he's walking back and forth in front of the Sambo's. And all of a sudden, for no reason, he stops in front of me and he points to me and he goes, "Do you know the judge? Do you know the judge? Because I know the judge. Do you know the judge?" And I said, "Yes, in fact, I do." And so, anyway, pay a lot of money to be harassed by people whose brain cells are diminished. Another story that goes to the mind of your local media, and perhaps, I'm not going to say liberal thinking, because I don't think your local media is liberal thinking necessarily, not in Kern County. I think they lean not conservative, but they lean Republican. And I would not be surprised if in the next couple of months until November, your local media, especially Channel 17, is full. They will sneak in and weave in beautiful stories about why you should vote for a tax increase on yourself on the same ballot that you vote against the gas tax. I'm just telling you, I wouldn't be surprised because, well, just because. But this is an interesting piece, and it's done by KGT, interestingly, and it's about how we have come out. Kern County has shown up as the in terms of crime statistics, we are #1 in the state in murder. Now they say murder. They use the word murder. What does murder mean to you? Homicide means somebody died. People often think that homicide means murder, but it doesn't. Homicide means somebody died at the hand of, et cetera, et cetera. Murder means somebody planned and put out the effort and executed your death. Right? Are we all in agreement? Okay. The California Department of Justice just released crime statistics for last year. Those stats show our county, Kern County, has the highest murder rate in the state. Period. But the truth is even worse. The KGET homicide tracker proves local police agencies are significantly underreported in the number of killings. So hold on. Are we talking about homicides? Or are we talking about murders? Or are we talking about killings? Right? Mm-hmm. Guy who slips off a rock in the Kern River, he died. He was killed because he slipped off a rock. Homicide, somebody dies. We don't know why yet. It could be any reason. Murder, you set out to do it. Right? Am I making sense, Goose?
Making perfect sense.
So Channel 17 says, the truth is even worse. The KGET homicide tracker, not murder tracker, homicide tracker, proves local police agencies are significantly underreported in the number of killings. Did the Justice Department release the number of killings, the numbers of homicides, or the numbers of murders? This is really important, folks. This is really important, and might I add, and I love Channel 17. Jim Scott, love you, darling. Irresponsible. Our homicide tracker, on our homicide tracker, you'll find the names and stories of 101 people killed in Kern County last year, but the state reports only 89. We dug into the data to find out why there is a difference. The Bakersfield Police Department didn't report 2 deadly officer-involved shootings to the Department of Justice. In January, attempted murder suspect Antonio Arturo Perez Garcia, why so many names, led police on a chase through northeast Bakersfield, ending in a crash at Alta Vista and Niles Street. Garcia allegedly got out of his car, pointed a gun at the officers, and ran. Police shot and killed him. Now, this is a piece about murder. Here's the irresponsibility. This is a piece about murder and the Justice Department's reports of murder. In April, suspected robber Rogelio Vidal Landa was shot and killed when he ran from police after a high-speed chase. This is a piece about murder and the number of people murdered being reported to the Justice Department. Neither of the shootings are listed in the state's report because it's a report about murder. Additionally, local agencies did not report deadly officer-involved shootings to the state as homicide. Okay, now we can have a conversation. Although the state considers justifiable homicides, including officer-involved shootings, as part of its report, inmates who were killed by other inmates in prison were not listed in the report. Okay, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair criticism. If an inmate kills another inmate, that's murder. And that should probably be reported. Also, the Kern County Sheriff's Department only reported 32 of its 35 homicides. Well, Channel 17, KGET, I love ya. You've already established that you don't know what a homicide is. If you're going to include, well...
No, I agree with you.
I mean, is it canary, yellow, or manila? You know what I mean? I'm having a really hard time with this news report. And I think critical minds probably do as well. And you have critical minds. Those of you who listen and watch and pay attention, you have critical minds. A homicide is not a murder. A murder is not a killing. A killing is not a homicide. Let's see. Even with these lower numbers, Kern has the worst homicide rate in the state, and they're including, well, okay, yeah, maybe they aren't including. Compared to only 57% in Kern County, in Kern cases where there was an arrest, 40 suspects were men, 5 women, and 5 both men and women. Who cares? If you break into my house, I don't care what color you are, I don't care how tall you are, I don't care what gender you are, I will kill you. Is that fair? I think it's fair. Of the homicides, shootings are consistently the most common occurrence of homicide, followed by stabbing, which we had some this weekend, and blunt force trauma. You can see the stats at their homicide tracker page. So that was the piece that Channel 17 put out, and all I have to say to it is it's really irresponsible. And when you call police officers, when you put police officers in these stats for murder, you're only doing what's already happened in Maryland. You're already doing what's already happened in Ferguson, right? You're doing what's already happened in LA and New York. I don't know what the motive would be for a person to put up a story like this, but it is, in my opinion, very irresponsible. You know, on Saturday, a person, I don't know who, left their 2-year-old child alone with a renter in Fresno, with a renter and their girlfriend or fiance. Did you see this story?
I think I heard of this story.
A 2-year-old is left alone, they said, for 30 minutes. First of all, do you remember, if you have kids, Can you ever remember leaving a 2-year-old for 30 minutes? No. 5 minutes? No. 20 seconds, maybe. But 2-year-old, no, you never leave them alone. You're always counting heads. I remember going to Disneyland and dressing the boys alike so that I could go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 all day. That's all I did. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're good. And so this 2-year-old got a hold of a gun, a handgun, and according to Police Chief Dyer, who's a terrific human being, it only needed 4 pounds of pressure. Now this kid, that seems like a big deal to me. A 2-year-old being able to put 4 pounds of pressure on a trigger to shoot himself. But I guess he was big for his age. His name was Jace. And I guess he was big for his age. He shot himself. It took 10 minutes. I apologize. 10 minutes for the police to arrive. And that's because the people who did it, or who were the adults in the room, didn't call the police or didn't call 911 in a timely manner. I don't know why. They've got their own reasons. He was found by police, according to one article I read today, in a pool of blood. Now I think you got a police officer who's showing up to a scene. They don't know what they're going to get when they get there. And they walk up and they find a baby in his own pool of blood. And that's pretty harsh. They tried to resuscitate him. They did the best they could. He ultimately died. He was breathing when they got there, but he ultimately died. And the reason I bring this up is because this piece by Channel 17, it doesn't help our relationship with police officers who roll up on scenes like a 2-year-old in his own blood. No cop wakes up in the morning and says, I want to kill people. No cop wakes up in the morning and says, I hope I shoot somebody today. Good cops wake up in the morning and say, I hope I stop something from happening. I hope I rescue somebody in need. I hope I resuscitate that 2-year-old. And so maybe I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, I don't know. But I just think this news piece is irresponsible. I just do. Do you get me, Goose? Do you feel me?
No, I feel you. I thought it was a hit piece against the police from the very first word you started talking about it.
Now, of course, the police might be working with KGT. Maybe the police chief is saying, hey, put this out so we can say we need you to raise taxes in November so we can have more cops. I mean, who knows? I don't know. I don't know. I just know that I don't like being manipulated, and I don't like exacerbated stories. I don't like accusations toward police. I don't like putting police who shoot a bad guy in the same category as murder. That's just me. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. This day's going fast, Goose. I blame you.
Well, you blame me for a lot of things.
I do. I often do blame you.
My wife does that all the time.
Does she? Yeah. Good for her. It's a smart move. So apologize to your wife and to me. I'm going to dilute this with water because it's too potent for me. And then we're going to be right back. We'll be right back. Thanks, guys, for paying attention.
Your home is perfect. Until it's not. We understand that life has its changes. As your family grows, we're here to help grow with you. Because taking care of your family is important to you and important to us. Your story starts here. with Cornerstone Mortgage.
Hello. So welcome back. Happy to talk to you. Here's another story that caught my attention yesterday, and I hope it catches yours as well. I posted it on Facebook because I thought it was really interesting. Apparently, a San Bernardino prosecutor, so somebody within the DA's office, wrote some really bad things. And that included, well, here, I'll tell you. California prosecutor is under investigation for allegedly making offensive remarks about, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you yet. This person, whose name is Michael, I don't know his name. I can't pronounce it. The deputy district attorney in San Bernardino, California, has been placed on administrative leave while the investigation takes place. San Bernardino district attorney Michael Ramos said in a statement. Mr. Ramos added that the county's office does not condone hate, discrimination, or incitement of violence. Now, this guy, I totally think should be investigated. Although I have to tell you, I find it this is a personal curiosity for me. You know, I'm a parent, and when I was a parent of small kids, you pretty much every day there was a crime scene. You know what I mean? Like every single day there was a crime scene, and you pretty much put it together by asking questions and figuring out, right? And then you went straight to sending somebody to their room. I remember one time the in-laws bought my kids, because they thought it was a good idea, airsoft guns. Do you remember those airsoft guns?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I had this Christmas ornament. It was my father's first Christmas when he was born in 1940, July. And my grandmother, it was one of those, you know, those like really, really tender tin, kind of German-esque, German, you know what I'm talking about? They're like so fragile that they're not glass, but there's something breakable. You know what I'm talking about, those ornaments?
Yeah.
It survived in cotton my father's entire life until my boys got an airsoft gun. And they decided to try it out in the house, and they shot the ornament. And what they did was they just shoved all the little pieces of glass or tin or whatever underneath my silver set, in a wooden case, underneath the silver set, and hoped I would never notice it. I did this too as a kid. Did you do that kind of stuff? Yeah. I noticed it immediately.
You'll never find it here.
No, moms especially. Dads maybe not so much, no offense to dads, but moms especially, we know when things are askew. And we can spot it. So anyway, I don't know why it takes so long for government entities and why it costs so much for government entities to investigate. Look, the guy put something on his Instagram. It's there. You see it. I see it. We all see it. There. Punish him. He said of this particular politician, being a loud-mouthed, see you next Tuesday. Can I say that?
Go for it.
In the ghetto, you would think someone would have shot this B word by now, the comment read. According to The Sun, the 50-year-old prosecutor has served as a lead attorney in undertaking the crackdown of criminal gang activity in Los Angeles County. The newspaper also shared a screenshot of a Breitbart article shared on the social media reporting blah, 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 okay, blah, 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 blah. This guy allegedly responded to a particular post by saying, I am all for white males immigrating here legally and starting a business. It is the terrorist a-holes sneaking in here wanting to kill me, my family, and I am opposed to. Okay, so just tip. Here's just a tip, because you've got a master's degree, so you know this already. But if you've worked that hard to become a lawyer and then a prosecutor and get your license and all that kind of stuff, you might not want to post on social media that you think all people who sneak into this country are a-hole terrorists. Just a tip. You might not want to call a politician See you next Tuesday. I mean, this is just me. But wouldn't you think if he worked that hard? But then Harvey Weinstein worked really hard to get to the top in your industry.
There's a difference between intellectual sense and common sense.
Absolutely true.
Some people can be very intelligent and yet have no common sense.
No common sense. This guy goes on to say, I cannot believe how shallow Democrats are. They must really think people are stupid. I guess this is evidence because they actually thought Hillary Clinton could win a presidential election. All right, so this is what this guy said. Now, here's the thing. He's being investigated. He's going to lose his job. He's going to lose his job in San Bernardino. And who wouldn't want to be a prosecutor in San Bernardino? Sounds like a dream, living in San Bernardino. He said it about Maxine Waters. Now, this is a woman who has been vocally, loudly, proudly encouraging violence, inciting hysteria, encouraging people to harass folks who do nothing more than go to work every day for Donald Trump. She has encouraged them to boo them out of restaurants, right? To stop them at banks, to catch them at the car wash. I'm just saying the irony is not lost on me that this guy will lose his job, and I'm not saying he shouldn't, but Maxine Waters will continue, Congresswoman Maxine Waters will continue to be able to tell you to commit acts of hate against Republicans. And I don't even think everybody who works for Trump is a Republican. To commit acts of hate against people who work for Trump. It's really remarkable. Everybody should run for Congress. They'll have absolute immunity. I mean, remember, we had a congressman who hid like tens of thousands of dollars in a freezer in his own office. Yeah, remember that? We have a state senator who was doing, who was trading guns with Filipino Muslim radical terrorists in order to pad his own pockets. We have what do we have? What else do we have? We've had rapists. We've had all kinds. And they, for some reason, all they have to do is get up in front of a microphone and say, I am a gay American. And we just don't care anymore or something. Not that being gay is illegal. But Maxine Waters will not stop. She's not going to stop. What was his name? I was in D.C. when Joe Wilson, I want to say his name was. He had previously said at the first Obama State of the Union, he stood up and said, "You're a liar." Do you remember that? I was in D.C. I was in this great restaurant called the, I don't know what it's called, but only Republicans are allowed. They're all the, you have to be a member and you have to be a Republican. I was there with Thaddeus McCotter, who later ran for president. He was a congressman. Congressman Nunes. And I'd have to ask Solomon. I can't remember all of but it was basically a table of congressmen and their aides, and me and my son. And we were watching on the big screen as they were doing the censure of Joe Wilson. He was censured for calling the president a liar during a State of the Union address. And Maxine Waters can incite violence. And a guy who incites with his commentary whatever aggression toward Maxine Waters will lose his job within the next couple of weeks. I think he should lose his job. I think she should lose her job. I think Joe Wilson was unfairly prosecuted. Not because I think it's okay to call the president a liar, but because in the scheme of things, what matter does this make? So, you said I'm particularly surly today. Am I particularly
just a little? Usually
surly?
You come just. Maybe the viewer sees something different. I mean, I'm picking up that you were just a little salty today.
A little salty. Oh, I said surly. You said salty. I don't know what the answer is to that.
I think that you probably just come across some stuff that's got you riled up.
Well, it does. It does, because I think, the nation is full of people who somehow manage to gather together in large groups, whether, I don't know if they have jobs or what their deal is, to obsess over the existence of ICE. Large groups of people will show up at a restaurant spontaneously to tell a Trump administration member to leave. They will show up to talk about, they're so obsessed with abortion that they'll show up in large numbers to protest a Supreme Court justice nominee. And yet if you go to the polls, remember, California voted for Proposition 8. We voted by 60% to identify marriage as that between a man and a woman. I'm not saying I'm not making a judgment call on whether that was right or wrong, although I think it's right. I'm just saying, my car and house was egged. My window was bashed in my Explorer was broken. I was vandalized. According to news coverage, there are large numbers of people who have time to be so passionate about women's rights that they can show up on the fly and protest something. And yet if you go to the polls and you take a vote, Prop 187, Californians voted to say, we do not think that people who are illegally in this country should benefit from our tax dollars in education, in medical care, in prison, maybe prisons. We were overturned by the courts, not because it was unconstitutional, but because of some ridiculous terminology in the bill. And the point I guess I'm making here is what we see on TV is not a representation of us. I think even in California, I assure you, Californians will show up in November to vote against a tax on gas. We will overturn a tax on gas. And yet news reports say Californians want. No, that's the nutty legislature. The city of Bakersfield is considering a tax initiative on your ballot in November. So is the county of Kern. Now, granted, the county of Kern has voted for bond measures that cost us a lot of money. One of them for the junior colleges, but in general, we don't vote for these things. The people we vote for and we send to office somewhere along the way stop representing us. Maxine Waters can stir up a slew of folks to stand somewhere and chant something, but I honestly don't think they represent you. I don't know if they're paid. I don't know if they're. I honestly don't know. There's I apologize for this, but at night, when all the news is over, when I'm done with Hannity, I watch Modern Family because I love it, even the reruns, and then I watch Cartoon Network. Is that embarrassing?
No.
It's pretty embarrassing.
No, because I think that whatever you need to do to relax.
That's what I do.
And
Family Guy. Good morning, USA. I got a feeling that it's gonna be a wonderful day. I enjoy those programs. Although some of them are pretty crass, but there's a commercial airing right now on that station for a program that they have called something like Millennials. I bet you could find it. I bet you could find it online. Millennials Only or something like that. And it's about, I don't know what it's about. I just keep seeing the promos and commercials for it. And in the commercial that's airing this week, the host says something like, we have some very special guests with us this week. In the front row, aborted babies. And they have these little puppet babies covered in blood. And I cannot imagine that even all those people who show up spontaneously for protests about a woman's right to abort think that that's even remotely okay or entertaining. I just don't think so. I don't think that the piece about murder in Kern County is reflective of the general feeling of people in Kern County. I don't believe that the laws that have turned felonies into misdemeanors in the state of California is reflective of the people of the state of California. I don't believe that this latest Supreme Court nomination is, and the opposition to it was representative of the majority of people in America. So yeah, I'm a bit surly today. I am. I admit it freely. Sorry about that. And I don't think that the majority of Americans agree with Maxine Waters. They also don't. Here's the thing. The same people who think Maxine Waters is out of control think that the guy who I've been quoting, who wrote about Maxine Waters and called her the C word, were the same people who don't think that's appropriate either. On the other side of the aisle, there seems to be people who think it's vastly appropriate, and that joking about abortion, making light about it, is hilarious, and that they don't apologize for Maxine Waters. I don't understand the inhumanity of humans. And with that, we take a break, and I promise to come back happier, smiling. Maybe I'll sell you some Tupperware. I'll have an apron on. Do a little Martha Stewart time. What? We'll be right back. I'm Inga. We'll be right back. See you in a sec.
Your home is perfect. Until it's not. We understand that life has its changes. As your family grows, we're here to help grow with you. Because taking care of your family is important to you and important to us. Your story starts here with Cornerstone Mortgage.
Patriot Bail Bonds has the best customer service in Bakersfield. Patriot has more 5-star ratings than any bail company in Kern County. Plus, we're fast and affordable. If you run into the law, make Patriot Bail Bonds your first call. That's right, one call, that's all.
If you're in jail, call Patriot Bail.
At the time you were arrested, you were served with a DS-367 temporary driver's license. It's good for 30 days, but if you don't act within 10 days, at the end of those 30 days, your license will be suspended. It's important for your lawyer to contact the DMV for you. Set up a driver's license administrative hearing so that your license is not going to suspension. That's something here at Braemar Law we do for you.
Here we are again, a nicer, happier, calmer Inga Barks. New lipstick, refreshed and happy to be here with you. Welcome back. We are closing out the show with the last couple of minutes, and then Denise comes on. I want to share with you a couple of things that I found in the news that are not so horribly things that angerify. Is angerify a word? I don't think it is, but I just made it up. That angerify me. I watched last night, oh my goodness, I loved it. History Channel, which I rarely like. I like American Pickers. I like Pawn Stars. And otherwise, I can't stand History Channel because it's all about aliens and pyramids built by aliens and it's stupidity. But they did a show, they've got a series going on right now about the cars that built America. And Goose, it is so awesome. Last night it was all about trucks. Oh, nice. Yeah. So even El Caminos and Rancheros, and basically the battle between Ford and Chevy, and occasionally Ram. But they went into international harvesters, which I love international. I want a Scout. I want a Bronco. I want a Willys. I'll take a Blazer if I have to. I just there's something about America when we made cars that people could say that's a good-looking car. I mean, nowadays, you know, Jaguar. Did you know Jaguar's taken off their hood ornaments? They don't have hood ornaments. It looks like a Focus. Might as well be a Ford sedan, in my opinion, because they took off the hood ornament. I don't get it. Cars used to be beautiful, and when you go to car shows, I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing about cars, but I know what I like, and I see just such beautiful, beautiful vehicles from days gone by. And I don't know when we quit. Oh, yes, I do. Regulations. When we had to make a car lighter, when we had to make a car more fuel efficient, you know, all that kind of stuff. So the 72 Chevy in my driveway sits because it only has 8 miles to the gallon. And it really is expensive to drive, but it's a beautiful truck, all steel. And ready to rumble. But you know what I noticed today as I was driving into work today, I was thinking about the Volkswagen van. I grew up on Volkswagen vans. We had every single Volkswagen van, including the pop-up top. Do you remember the pop-up top? We had the first one in Bakersfield. Thank you very much. It was lime green. No, it wasn't lime green. It was more like lima bean green. But mostly we had orange. My dad was drawn to orange because he worked for Hall Ambulance. So, and there was a lot of orange. Why are you laughing?
I remember those stupid cars.
They're the greatest. Would you not own a Volkswagen van today? If somebody said, I will give you a Volkswagen van.
You know what's funny? I would get one, and then I would let my son supercharge it.
Yeah, because there's something wrong with you. But you were, I mean, we used to stand in front of the what was it called? Glove compartment? Remember when you called something a glove compartment? And there was a handle over it, which there still is in many cars. And in my Jeep there is anyway. And the Volkswagen, I used to actually stand there. So if we'd have gotten in a car accident, I was inches away from death. Right? And there we were, there I am standing, holding on to it. La da da da, going to church, boo 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 boo, listening to Muskrat Love on the radio. And, no, that's true. That's really true. And when we traveled, my daddy would leave we'd leave at like 2 or 3 in the morning. So by the time we got to Bishop or June or Twin Lakes or Sabrina or Crowley or whatever, all those, it would be morning and he could go fishing. And so we'd sleep on the way. You just laid out the seats and everybody just slept. No seat belts. Are you kidding me? But the other thing that has happened in the last couple of decades is that back then, I'm sure of it. Now, you grew up in the Bay Area, so it might be different for you. But growing up in Bakersfield, it's been hotter. When I was a kid, it was, you know, we had like 112, 114 day temperatures. Did you guys ever have it hot up there in the Bay Area?
Now, what timeline is this? Are you talking?
70s.
Okay, let me tell you something. In the 70s, they were telling us that we were going to have the second coming of an ice age.
Yes, that's correct.
We needed to get our parkas and our snowshoes ready.
Yeah, that's true. Dan Rather told me that when I was 13, the world was going to end. I remember that.
And
I did the math.
So everybody there was trying to find something to get through the snow.
Right. So, well, we were burning up. And today, I'm convinced we are wussier wimps than we've ever been before. Because if somebody said to me, rolled up in my front yard today and said, let's take my 72 Chevy, which is actually technically Solomon's, and say, my grandfather's truck, and say, here it is, drive it. Does it have AC? Well, no, it's 1972. It has air. I would say, nothing, I'll just drive the Jeep. Right? We have become the biggest wimps. California was actually more hotter in days past than it is now. And we didn't have air conditioning. For you young people out there, we didn't have air conditioning. Volkswagen Bug, no air conditioning. I remember my dad on a good day, he was in a good mood. He was in a good mood, we're traveling, he stops off at a store. He buys all of us, they're not Eskimo pies. It was, the vanilla ice cream dipped in chocolate.
Yeah, those are Eskimo pies.
And we were so thrilled because it was hot. Because we were driving up to June Lake probably, or Silver or Gold. Yes, I can name all the lakes. And we were driving up, and we had no AC. We just had the air, right? The vents with the air in the Volkswagen van. And we're all sitting there, and very soon after we got those Eskimo pies, the hot air started to melt the It was like it was a tragedy, because Daddy was in such a good mood until the chocolate started flying through the Volkswagen van off of our ice creams. We couldn't eat them fast enough. They were melting so fast from the air blowing. And anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you guys, because I was watching this great show last night. And I love, for instance, El Camino. I would love to own an El Camino, but I would have to have air conditioning put in it. The 72 Chevy that I've got in my driveway, no air conditioning. You ride with the windows down, and everybody thinks you're cool because it's got a huge engine that makes a lot of sound, and you're going, yeah, that's right, I'm cool. But the truth is, you're dying because it's so dang hot. And you young folk, you don't have to live that way anymore. So the Bronco, the Blazer, the International Harvester, my favorite, the Scout, the Jeep. Those are all so cool to see in history. But if you sat in them in Bakersfield, you'd be really, really annoyed, because we're all wimps. There, look at that. I changed. See, Goose, I'm perfectly capable of being mildly entertaining. By the way, do not, what do they call that? Rat rod? No, what do they call it? What they do to old cars. You take off the car, you put a big engine, don't do that. And the other thing, don't lower it. And the other thing, don't lift it. Those are all just private part enhancements, in my opinion. Just let it look like it looked when it came off the assembly line, and it will be loved. But that's just me. All right, more Gatorade and a break. We'll be right back. I almost gave a phone number again, which would be absolutely ridiculous. And Denise is on after us, correct? She on today?
Yes, she's on. Does
she show up every day? I mean, I don't show up every day.
She is here every day, 5 o'clock.
That's commitment.
Faithful.
Right there.
Although I think that, I don't want to spoil this. We'll talk on the other side of this.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we'll talk on the other side. All right, we'll be right back. I'm Inga, broadcasting from the Bakersfield Music Hall of Fame in these beautiful studios with Blue Sky Media and Kerncast. We'll be right back.
At the time you were arrested, you were served with a DS-367 temporary driver's license. It's good for 30 days, but if you don't act within 10 days, at the end of those 30 days, your license will be suspended. It's important for your lawyer to contact the DMV for you. Set up a driver's license administrative hearing so that your license does not go into suspension. That's something here at Braemar Law we do for you.
Welcome back. You know, folks, a couple of weeks ago, maybe months, I don't know, I can't tell time anymore, there was a piece done in I forget what the newspaper was called. It's an online thing about a little restaurant a couple blocks down from us right now. Nuestro Mexico, I think it's called. I've been there, and it's really, really, really good. In fact, just talking about it hurts, makes me want to go there, and I'm not even hungry. But since then, there have been a couple of other pieces done. Now, there's a website called eater.com. I'm not familiar with it, but it's been this same article has been published in 3 or 4 different newspapers and or magazines, and it's about the Central Valley and our Mexican food. And basically what it talks about is how people pass over the Central Valley on their way to San Francisco for their Mexican food, or on their way to LA for their Mexican food. But guess what? The Central Valley has got the food. And it's true. It's true. I mean, if I could say anything about the huge number of immigrants that have come to the Central Valley to work and or play, and hopefully they all came here legally, it would be that we do have the best Mexican food. Have you ever been to another state? Have you ever been to like in Washington? I've been to Chinese restaurants in Washington State. And you're like, this is not, you don't, that's not. I've been to Mexican restaurants in Washington, Oregon. You go, no. New Mexico, that's another story. Sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you. New Mexico, that's another story, because then you're moving toward Tex-Mex, right? And that's a whole different kind of thing. But we have the best Mexican food. I'm going to say. And I'll even say Mexicali is great. And Mexicali, to me, is like grown-up Mexican food. If you don't want indigestion, you go to Mexicali. Have you been to Mexicali? Really?
I don't know if I have. I mean,
really?
I've been to a lot of restaurants. Right? We try to go to like new restaurants every so often.
Mexicali's a landmark, like 30, 40 years.
I want to say that we have, but I can't remember.
No. Well, it's not food for the light. It's not food. It's good. It's good. Good service, good food. You like I said, you won't get indigestion later, so it works out well. This is written by Gustavo no. I don't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect as I merged from Interstate 5 onto Highway 99, the 425-mile road that serves the scruffy spine of California's Central Valley. By the way, remember when they talk scruffy spine, I like that. I've never heard that used before, but this state is 800 miles long, and 425 of it is you. When we're passed over by our politicians, when we're treated like we don't mean anything, we're half the state. Just thought I'd remind you. As someone who prides himself on knowing the Golden State, as the former editor-in-chief of OC, Orange County Weekly, and a columnist for the Los Angeles Times, I visited the region just twice before. How can you visit the Valley twice in your entire life if you lived in California? Did you, when you lived in Northern California, did you come to the Valley very often?
Actually, we did, only because my sister-in-law and her husband lived here.
Oh, okay.
And so we would come down about once actually, we come down more like maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah. But generally speaking, I mean, we've talked about this before. There are towns and cities I'm still learning exist in California because it's so big. But the Valley San Joaquin Valley is huge. All right, so 15 years ago when I took a girlfriend at the time to see a concert in Fresno, and a couple of years back in Bakersfield when my host told me not to venture outside the downtown hotel past sunset. Wait a minute. 15 years ago, you were at a downtown Bakersfield hotel and your host told you not to leave? No, that was probably a good idea. It was probably a good idea. Okay. I don't know what hotel it was. To most of California, the Central Valley, a long, narrow area ringed to the west by coastal mountains, mountain ranges, and to the east by the mighty Sierra Nevadas, where about 6.5 million people live, is shorthand for misery. What? When did that happen? Oh, I'm miserable. Oh, I'm absolutely miserable. But not because I live in Kern County in the Valley, because I live in California, and it's a miserable state where they spend all of your money and then tell you they don't have enough and then tell you they need you to voluntarily give them more. Okay, so is Misery. Stories from the Central Valley that gain mainstream play tend to be about crime, poverty, or other societal ill. Migrant workers live and work in conditions little changed since John Steinbeck's shocked the United States with the descriptions of how the somethings of lived in the Grapes of Wrath. They were all Okies. That's what's changed. They were all Okies. I went on a really terrific adventure once to Arnold Schwarzenegger's house. You don't even look impressed.
Oh, trust me, I am impressed. I'm just...
He was governor at the time, which is less.
You were at Governor Schwarzenegger's house?
Yeah. The one where he conceived a child that was not his.
I was just about to ask that.
Well, wait, it had to be his. Yeah. Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. You walk in the front door, and there's a glass in front of you and a piano covered with awards and whatnot. And if you turn around and look back at the front door, right next to it was a large oil painting of him posing naked as Mr. Universe. Who wouldn't want that in your entryway?
You just brought up something. Have you ever seen his movie Pumping Iron?
I know of it.
Okay. There's a line in there that I can't repeat, but it doesn't surprise me that he has a naked picture of himself as Mr. Universe.
The whole house was full of pictures of the two of them, and she was delightful. What's her name? Kennedy, the Kennedy, and there were awesome pictures of her with different Kennedys, including like stepping off of the presidential airplane with her uncle, stuff like that. It was very cool. It was really it was cool. And they had this one room, the walls, ceiling to floor, were covered with pictures of him from like set photos from the set of movies that he'd made. It was awesome. They had apple martinis in there, so why wouldn't you want to be in there? Anyway, it was weird, and this was back before we really had like now you could just get on your phone, you take a picture, it's over. It was a lot more dramatic back then, so I was even afraid to take a picture of myself in his bathroom. So I didn't take any pictures. Why am I telling you this story? Oh, because I'm flying there on a private jet. Yeah, I used to be young and attractive, and people invited me places. And I'm on a private jet with a farmer who told me that white people need not apply on his farm. Yeah. He said that the other workers would be so hostile that people don't even bother to try. So anyway, Steinbeck, shocked the world with his descriptions of the Okies living in the Grapes of Wrath time, but they were all Okies, and it's definitely changed. Okay, so it goes on. He really was. He had his leg in front of his privates.
So he couldn't see anything.
No, but as you walked into the next room, which I can't tell you what it was void of furniture. Because he spoke from there. It was just like maybe it could have been a formal living room of some sort. There was a statue taller than me of the Virgin Mary with her arms out and little babies of all the world's ethnicities on her arms. Nude Arnold, Virgin Mary, babies on the arms. The biggest disappointment was that as I was walking up and down the driveway, which was made of bricks, all bricks pieced together, that I didn't trip and fall and break something. I was really hoping I'd get my heels caught in between the bricks and maybe take a fall and make some money, but it didn't happen. So anyway, where were we? Living in John Steinbeck, the state's punishing drought hit here the hardest. Yes, it did. Drinking water up and down the region is contaminated. What? Our water's contaminated? Porterville, maybe. Arvin's having some problems. Stockton, an industrial port town, on the San Francisco something. Anyway, it goes on and on and on, but then he says, all of this on my mind as I got off the 99 in Bakersfield, I grabbed a jalapeno and cheese stuffed bolillo at La Perla Bakery. Do you know where that is? I don't know where that is.
I have no idea.
Then stopped by a branch of the Tacos La Vila chain for a hot Cheeto breakfast burrito. No. At a gas station, I took a satisfying warm bite of each. And it basically goes on though to say, basically the valley stinks, you're on hard times, everybody's downtrodden, and your water's contaminated, but man, your food is fantastic. And if there's anything I can say about this guy, he's right on the food. He is dead right on the food. All right, we're done for the day. Good gravy. It's 4:41.
Yes, ma'am.
I actually talked for that long.
Yes, ma'am.
Usually I'm not that impressed with myself.
Everybody else?
Usually I bore...
Everybody else loves you.
I love them. I love you guys. I do. I love you guys so much. All right. Well, there you go. If you know where the... I'd like to go to the Tacos Los Villa Mexican Grill. Yeah. It's 99-cent tacos. And that ain't Taco Bell tacos. Those are tacos. So I don't know where it is, but I'm willing. Who's coming with me? Come on, let's all go. And then we'll go streaking. Maybe not. Maybe not the streaking. Maybe not the streaking. All right, kids, I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Thank you for putting up with me today. Thank you, Goose, for putting up with me today in my surly mood. I am going to, I'm going to leave. I'm going to depart and probably go visit my mumsy and my pappy and my bro. Yeah, that's a nice thing to do. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. I look forward to it. Got lots to talk about. California criminal law is on the ballot in 2020. They couldn't get it on the ballot now this year, but it's things are changing again. Once again, we don't vote the same way our legislature does. They do not reflect the values of Californians, in my humble opinion. So we'll do some of that tomorrow. Have a great day. Be good to one another. Hug your babies, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks, Goose, for getting us through.